NFC team preview. Welcome back to the Afeka show, people. Here we are going to break down each individual team in the NFC playoffs. What we are going to do is go 7-1, and I'm not going to quite give you the playoff predictions yet. That's going to be in the next video for the wildcard round. Starting off with the 7th seed, we have the Packers, and their season in review is, well, you had the Micah Parsons experiment, and it started off pretty shaky, not getting a sack until he eventually got a sack, and he got injured. He was playing well, but then he got injured. They're surging 9-3-1. They looked like a Super Bowl lock until that happened. So the injuries then started piling on, right? So Parsons, week 15, without their defensive anchor, they've been struggling, losing 4 final games. Why did I say it's so weird? Because it's a little bit uncomfortable how bad they've been. Now, despite the 4-game losing streak, the early season success had you win so often that you're in the playoffs. Look, the air raid. Jordan Love also got injured. You had Malik come in, but Malik, not bad until he went out. And then you have Tuner, whoever, and he was bad. Now, don't get me wrong. He's an NFL quarterback. He's actually not bad. It's kind of like when you're playing Mahjong against your friends. You're like, oh, I'm kind of good. I've never played Mahjong, but I'm hypothesizing. And then you play against a bunch of grandmas and you get your butt whooped. That's literally what it's like. It's like, yeah, he's probably sick. He's an NFL quarterback, but he's just not a freak like a Jordan Love or maybe even a Malik. I don't know. They say there's nothing new in Green Bay, so you just learn how to be a quarterback. Maybe that's the truth, maybe not. But their air raid, they're 3rd in passing EPA. I mean, you have a lot of downfield vertical threats, Christian Watson, for instance. But they also have just a ton of supporting cast members that have been great. What was bad is the fact that Tucker Kraft got injured. He was such a key part of this offense, and people often forget about him. Without Parsons, their pass rush has been basically non-existent, and they're vulnerable. And I cannot say that word, to wide receivers because they're 30th in EPA allowed. So bad. But Jordan Love, he is a freak. He knows how to throw the ball. He gets the ball moving. But we've seen in some games, he just doesn't get it there. Like, sometimes just their offense, like against Cleveland Browns team, it's just, what's going on? Nothing's getting produced. And Josh Jacobs is banged up a little bit. But he is playoff ready. He's been in the playoffs before, which is a huge point because you don't want to have your rookie being their first time in the playoffs. Not good. Now, against the spread, they have been terrible as of late. And honestly, their draft stock and all their, I guess not their draft stock, well, kind of the draft stock because they've been losing more, but they keep plummeting down, which is bad. Now, Josh Jacobs is going to have to be a key here for them to go on to a run because he is insane. If he carries the ball 25 plus times, he's going to limit the number of possessions that the other team has, really exploit this pass rush. And against some of these high offense, high octane teams, you're going to need him to step up big. Is he banged up? Yes, but sometimes you got to roll with the punches, and they need to accept the pass in the past. It's the playoffs. Everyone's 0-0. Well, I guess the Seahawks and then the Broncos are kind of 1-0 because they're already above. But everything starts from square zero, which means, okay, Packers, what do you have? You got to take that mentality out. We lost Micah Parsons. Fine. We keep pushing. Next up is the Rams. Now, there was a blockbuster trade before the season even started. Davante Adams to Rams. Oh my God. What does that even mean? What, can he even get there? What's going on? No more Jess. No more Raji. Yes, Davante Adams is now on his own. He and Matthew Stafford was the most dynamic duo, quarterback, wide receiver, from the 1-yard line this season. Oh, but the tush push, no. Stafford throws the ball, Davante Adams on a route, 1 yard. Unstoppable is a new word I just invented because I was burping. I was going to say unstoppable, but truthfully, they're so good, they're unstoppable. Now, they dominated the mid of the season, and they honestly have fallen off. They lost to the Falcons, which you can be like, well, they knew they weren't getting the 1 seed and yada, yada, yada. No. They need to beat the Falcons because they have the Falcons draft pick, so they would have got a much better pick if they would have won. And this team did also look shaky for a bit there against the Cardinals, which is not good. So once they kind of lost that, they fell off. But they have the triple threat, and he's been injured lately. Davante Adams, we already spoke about him. Puka, been lights out, a stud, and Kyron Williams, which he was doing pretty good. Blake Corum's just been great. And you have whatever tight end they're just going to roll the dice on, just hopefully scream Yahtzee. And their interior pass rush, Turner, Fisk, I know he's not interior pass rush, but Verse, I mean, he just jumped and blocked that field goal in the Atlanta game. that brought me hope, and then it all came crashing down. But they finished top 10 in pressure rate. Interior pass rush is interesting, but their passing defense is bad. You're getting pressure, but teams cannot figure out the secondaries this year. I'll raise the roof a little bit, but the teams cannot figure out secondaries this year. Now, they ranked 20th in pass defense, allowing 234 passing yards per game, and their offensive line is bad, which is not good when you have Matthew Stafford as your quarterback, because he really put together an MVP campaign. Remember when he wasn't even going to play maybe this season, and they put him in that weird tube that felt like sci-fi? But now Stafford is playing. He was insane. I don't even know if this is right. This might not be wrong. I don't know where this got pulled from. 46 passing touchdowns? Is that right? That's insane. Probably because of the 1 yard connection he has to Devontae Adams. But look, you know McVay's been there. You know Stafford's been there. That gives you a ton of confidence. They keep running into the buzzsaw of the Eagles last year, and now he threw for multiple touchdowns at 15 to 16. This team's ready to win. And everyone kind of counted them out because they've been playing bad lately. Sure, they let out a couple stinkers, but I don't know. ATS, they've not been doing good. They're pretty neutral. Like, I think everyone does understand that this is the Rams, but they saw a little bit of weakness in that Seahawks game, definitely in the Falcons game and some others too. They can get healthy, they would be the most dangerous team in the NFL, but there's not much time. The clock is ticking kind of like Vector's clock is. They might not have enough time. So, they have to win in the shootouts. That's where Stafford's the best. That's where this defense is the best. They need to hold them. They need to be able to protect Stafford. Without Stafford, this whole thing falls apart. That's their path to a run. They don't have the easiest one. They're probably going to crush the Panthers. That's my guess. That's not the easiest. But the NFC West has been so tough this year. That's where we have the 49ers. They have injury bugs. Stop me if you heard this before. Injury, but they could have done better. Injury. Brock Purdy got injured. Brock Purdy looked like a good. Then Mac Jones came and looked like a god, and now Brock Purdy looks like a god. Unless you are the Seattle defense, then you don't look that great. And it's funny to say one of the big ways for their success was Robert Saleh returning. So as a head coach for the Jets, he was horrific. Now, was this the Jets organization or him? I don't know. I am a firm believer in the fact that you cannot have a defensive-minded head coach anymore in the NFL. It does not work like that. People love Madden too much popular, and everyone just sims through the defense. They want to play offense. And he, despite missing key pieces, Bosa, Warner, both down, he's been able to have this defense play pretty well. Their secondary super weak, but they're able to stop the rush against the Bears. Sure, they let up a lot of points, but what are you going to do? And they were the most watched team in primetime this season. So they had a lot of offensive star power. Purdy came out, whatever. Then you had some random people like, I don't even know who it was, but he's kept Jawan Jennings. Was it Jawan Jennings? Who just kept running that? No, Kendrick Bourne kept running that slant route against the Rams the first time they played, and that was just horrible. Now, you do have Kittle in there, you have McCaffrey in there, they still make magic happen. The yards after a catch, they led the league in it. Again, probably because of Kittle, probably because of McCaffrey. They don't have the pass rush, and that's a big issue, because when we've been highlighting a lot of these teams, their offensive lines have been weak, but defensive lines have been very, very strong. So if there's a clear mismatch there, it's going to be bad. A lot of the Niners' success, especially in the first game, is if Trent Williams is playing. Now, on the other side, you have to make sure Lane Johnson is playing. But on the first side, you got to make sure Trent is playing. Linebackers with Fred Warner out, it's not been looking good. That's another reason why teams have been able to run on them. But then also Salah has been scheming up to stop them. So that's been very interesting. But Purdy finished the year very, very well. I mean, he came in there, he had that random span where I think he just ran for 5 touchdowns. No, he passed or threw for 5 touchdowns against the Bears, put up a total stinker against the Seahawks, but something was in the air that day and nothing was working. But he's playoff ready. He's been there before. He has to stay healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, well, you also have Mac Jones come in. Their team stock, it says right here, 3-2 ATS in their last 5. I think is pretty impressive. And I think they have been winning games pretty convincingly. When you look at their schedule, though, it's kind of what the Patriots had to deal with, where it's such an easy schedule that who have you really played? Sure, Chicago, but that was a shootout 42-38, and they almost lost in the end. And then they lost to Seattle 3-13. So maybe this juggernaut offense, it's only a juggernaut offense if it's a bad defense. Kind of like when you're playing bowling with silly pins and you have bumpers up. Is that what the 49ers offense has been lately? I don't know. Hashtag Birds fan, so I don't want to jinx anything and make Brock Purdy hear this because he probably listens to the show nightly and then decide to have revenge on me. I don't want any of that. The path to their run is just, hey, can you protect Purdy for a little bit, throw it, and then just go ahead and bait these quarterbacks into making turnovers, making mistakes, and just make sure that offense is high-powered and ready to. Next up is the Carolina Panthers. Sure, they lost to the Buccaneers in a heartbreaker, which honestly was the most red game of NFL I've watched in my entire life. But throughout all the chaos, they still managed to clinch their way to the playoffs. Kind of like when I'm on the airplane, I have to clinch a little bit, and then the attendant says, "Okay, I can go to the bathroom." So they have a sub 500 record and they're in the playoffs. So kind of funny, but this NFC South has just been horrible. Dave Canales, good coach. I mean, you don't have the best weapons, but you're getting it done. And Bryce Young has been playing very, very well. And this team has been insane at home. And that's where they're hosting the Rams. The back door is always open for Bryce. I feel like he's just been covering at an insane rate. But it's an investment in interior guards is what's been helping, where they've been really able to run the ball, unless you're against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was bad. But top 10 PFF pocket for Bryce Young to toss out of. So that's never a bad sighting as well. Ted McMillan, a.k.a. T-Mac, 1,000-yard receiving season. Very impressive. Jalen Cocker, barely knew her. He has had a great season as well. So very, very important. Their defensive interior depth, they don't really have a strong defensive line, so they give their opponents a lot of time to toss the ball. Also, red zone, they're not efficient. So they just rank 27th in red zone scoring percentage, which is bad. I mean, we saw what they did there against Tampa. Bryce Young took it, flea flicker to Rico Dowd, and it just went south. So they have to play smart when they are in the red zone. Now, Bryce Young, he was a bust, but now he's having a very solid campaign ever since Andy Dalton got in that car crash, which thankfully no one was hurt, but gave Bryce Young some confidence to go back out on the field again, and he's been impressive since. However, he is a rookie, seems unflappable, really comes to, I think he led the league in fourth quarter scoring drives, but you are a rookie, so I don't trust you in the playoffs yet. A rookie playoff, if that makes sense. 2-3 ATS in their last 5. No one really impressive. The only teams is, hey, we are divisional games, and Seattle did blow them out 10-27. Where it was close, and then as soon as Bryce Young could keep it together, boom, Seahawks took it. And that was with a lot of turnovers by the Seahawks. I would say they're pretty neutral. I think it's, hey, they're matching up against the Rams, so it's going to be tough. At their run is, we got to electrify Rico Dowd again. When this team was hot, when this team was doing good, and I have my hands like this, I'm an adult man who wants to buy Legos. Rico Dowd was doing good, 4+ yards per carry. Bryce Young was unstoppable. JC Horns Island. Look, the guy has been getting interceptions, especially against that 49ers team. It was very impressive to see. If you can get him turning the ball over, that's another positive. Next up is this Philadelphia Eagles team. They have scored their second consecutive NFC East title, the first to do it since 2004, and they enter the playoffs being the number 3 seed. Now, Vic Fangio has been doing a masterclass. There's also been some key injuries lately, but Vic Fangio, their defensive coordinator, now that you have Jalen Carter back, Jordan Davis, brand new player. He was good before. He's insane now. Definitely a Pro Bowl in my eyes. Dropping from a bottom tier, but just like really, really being able to put this together. Now, Nick Sirianni. Did he lose the second seed? Do I agree with what he did? I agree with what he did. And if you're like, well, what did he do? Did he get upset at someone? Yes. But no, he was probably upset because he had the chance to win the number 2 seed. The Eagles could have secured the number 2 seed. If the Bears lost, the Eagles won. But what did the Eagles do? They sat their starters because they couldn't control their destiny. And should the Bears have really beaten the Lions? Well, they almost did, so it almost didn't matter. But I believe the Eagles thought they're going to be able to win the game with Tanner McKee, but he didn't do too well. Kind of like when I'm asked to open up a bottle of wine in front of a room full of people, because I don't drink that much. I don't put the corkscrew in enough, and then it cuts in half. It's very embarrassing. So I don't blame them for resting them because they need to get healthy, because when Lane Johnson is out, he is bad. He is bad. They are bad. So look, his defensive unit, again, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they're stepping up here. We're seeing a lot of people step up. Zach Bond playing great. Their strength is within the trenches on the defense. Their offensive line has really been lacking this year with Saquon. The brotherly shove, a.k.a. the tush push. I know the brotherly shove is like, oh, this is Eagles. This is fun. And again, Eagles fan. But in the end of the day, I still like the tush push better. It's just funnier. They basically stopped running it. They're like, this isn't effective. The refs are out to get us. We're just going to stop because we know the league's going to probably try to change this rule anyway. So that's been bad for them, especially when they get in the red zone. But they still score a ton in the red zone, one of the top rates in the league. Safety depth, the corners, the safety rotations, they need some help. Corners are good. Safety's bad. So they need to go ahead and really figure that out. Jalen Hurts, he's playing good ball. I know. He's a reigning Super Bowl MVP. He doesn't turn the ball over too much. I mean, we saw in the Bills game, his defense won him the game, but he didn't screw up enough to give the Bills an opportunity. Sure, they were not that great, and trust me, we are going to go off on Patullo soon, but he is 5-0 ATS. Oh, wait, no, 5-0 straight up in his playoff career. So when he comes to play, he comes to play. In the last 5, they were 3-2 ATS, destroyed Vegas, and that was kind of a turning point for them. Washington covered. They beat Buffalo, and then Washington, they lost, but they rested their starters. So, look, their team stock's pretty neutral, but they just need to restore the run. And they need to get this offense cooking again. Their offensive coordinator, Patullo, is in. We saw what Kellen Moore's doing with the Saints and Tyler Shuck, which is very impressive. But Kevin Patullo, you're going to be the reason this Eagles team loses because their offense is not going to get there. If you gave them a chance, if you gave them an offense, a fighting chance, I am sure they would win. But that's the only thing that's stopping me from going, oh my God, Eagles Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champions again, is the fact that I just really, what are you doing? Vic Fangio is doing an absolute masterclass, and maybe you do run it under center because they've been doing better. So they started doing that a little bit more. They started winning a little bit more. Don't try to put your own spin on it. Jalen Hurts has had a different coordinator, it feels like, every single year. So maybe just keep it a little consistent for him. You knew it worked last year. Get that offensive line healthy and let Saquon run. Next up is the Bears. Ben Johnson, absolute revolution. So we see what good coaching does, and we did notice, okay, you had the Detroit coach leave. Now, look, the Jets for Aaron Glenn, not a great setup, but defensive-minded, offensive-minded Ben Johnson, he does have more weapons to play with. I am acknowledging that. Better team is going to, I'm acknowledging that. Better organization is going to, I'm acknowledging that. However, an offensive-minded head coach, what we see in Liam Cohen, is an absolute resurgence for a team. Bottom 5 to a top 10 unit this season. Now, they have won the division first time since 2018. And they are giving me a little bit of the Broncos vibes, where they're 6-1 in one-score games. But that just means, hey, Caleb knows how to get it done as well. And they also live and die by the turnover. Now, when they're turning the ball over, they're living. When they're not, their defense is awful. We saw that with the 49ers. Even though it opened up with a pick 6 on the very first pass from Brock Purdy, this Niners team still didn't win. I mean, this Niners team did win. This Bears team didn't win. Guys, it's 10:30 here. I worked all day, and I am tired. So the strength is the offensive line. They built it up together. They bought a lot of it. But now it's starting to pay off because Monangai and Swift, two-headed monster, they're very good. Now, Ben Johnson doesn't have his, oh my God, look at this running back yet. But I like Swift. I like Monangai. They're playing great. And they have very structured C as well. Colson Loveland's been playing great as of late. DJ Moore has been okay. And then Roman Dunze is going to come back, be great. And you also have Burdens. This offense have a lot of weapons, and they're a lot of fun. The run defense, not great. They can't really stop the run. But who are they really playing that can run the ball, right? On the other side, we're not going to get into it, but Josh Jacobs banged up. They don't really have one. That's bad. Caleb had a fantastic season, almost 4,000 passing yards, but he's just been playing lights out, been extending plays that has had everyone shocked how great he's doing. So he is playoff ready. However, he never played in the playoff games, so that does give me pause about Caleb. So ATS, they're 3-2. Not that bad. I think a lot of people are up on them after seeing that primetime game with the Niners. I know I am. In order to win the game, they have to protect the plot, right? They are 9-1 when they allow fewer than 2 sacks. If you protect Caleb, keep him clean, let him run, let him pass, it's going to be tough to slow down this offense. They also have to get some turnovers. Kevin, incredible, 7 interceptions this year. If you can keep that going, that's going to be great. Then you need to turn the ball over multiple times if you want to win. Number 1 seed in the NFC goes to the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I did not myself. 14-3, best in franchise history, and they had a defensive masterclass against the 49ers, one of the top offenses. We just talked about how they just shredded up this Bears defense, put up 3 points against Seattle Seahawks defense. Insane. Mike McDonald, look, most feared defensive unit, maybe the Texans. Can we not forget about the Eagles, though? Can we not forget about the Eagles? They ensured the number 1 seed, giving them the bye. Modern Legion and Boom, I think this Seattle secondary, the Seattle defense is playing way better than they have ever. Ranked first in league in passing yards and second defensive passing DVOA. JSN has been lights out ever since the beginning. I mean, did he finish with the receiving title or he was second? But they're going to be, oh, but DK Metcalf, he's gone. They can't. Did not matter. Did not matter. Could you believe that? I can believe that, but they have not been consistent rushing the ball. Kenneth Walker has come on, Zach Charbonnet has come on, and you don't really know who's going to be running it. But they're not running it a ton. But what they have been doing is running on third and 17, which has been impressive because they keep converting it for a first down for some reason. But look, all the respect to them. And their offensive line is kind of their Achilles heel because it pressures Sam Darnold to throw the ball out faster. And now he has been fantastic. He was great with the Minnesota and was like, oh, but it's Kevin O'Connell, the coach. No. He's been fantastic here in the Seahawks team, getting them wins when they need it. For instance, when that heroic Phillip Rivers came and it was like, oh my God, this Colts team's actually going to win. Dude, Sam Darnold drove down the field, scored a game-winning field goal, destroyed the 49ers, destroyed the Panthers. I mean, he's just doing what he has to do to win. Now, last year in the playoffs, total collapse. Everyone's like, when's that Sam Darnold moment coming? We've seen it. He's given up multiple turnovers whenever he plays the Rams, and the collapse always happens. But guess what? He figured out a way to win last time. And now he turned the ball over, looked horrible against the Panthers. They figured out a way to win that game too. So maybe the teams just aren't that good. I think the Rams are good, but they need really a way to win. And now I do believe this stock of the Seattle Seahawks team could not be any higher. They're the number 1 seed. They're nearly unbeatable at home in the postseason. But also, this is a whole different team. This team's better on the road than at home, which is really weird. You have to get the ground game. You have to keep Darnold clean if you want a path to the playoffs. It's going to be tough, people. That's my NFC preview. I'm not going to give away who I think is going to win, but it's probably going to be the Eagles, but I'm not going to give that away. I am tired. That's what we have today. Check out the channel. Like and subscribe tomorrow, or whenever you see this. I don't know when you're seeing this. We are going to go ahead and do our playoff predictions. From there, we are then going to give all of our betting picks. That's what I know you guys really want. I'll see you.